Hey, what is going on, guys? This is Jake at That Fit Friend, and today I'm going to be doing my first impressions of the AVANCUS Apex Power. So the founder reached out, asked if he gets in the shoe along. When they go live, I will be buying a pair for review, but the founder had actually been following That Fit Friend for over a year before I got sent these, so I thought that was really cool, so shout out to him for rocking with the brand and channel. But essentially, this model has been starting to pick up some steam because you're seeing folks like David Wilson train in them. And I finally got my first session in them today, and I have a lot of thoughts on this model. Now, if you're just coming in for a release date and whatnot, the release date is said to be between like May 29th and June 5th. Now, that could be obviously subject to change because with smaller brands and their first model, I always give them a little bit of grace if they get their dates wrong because you never really know. And I feel like it's probably very difficult to logistically plan a launch week for a first debut shoe. But May 29th to June 5th are the dates that I think should be safe to kind of assume. Now, when it comes to the price, I cannot say, and I actually don't know, that's why I can't say it, but essentially that will be released on launch week as well. What I heard from the founder was it's not gonna be crazy price like Vivobarefoot, so I think that's pretty cool because with this model and models like the Total's Archetype 1, it's nice to have, I think, comparable like minimalist style shoes for training that aren't gonna wreck your bank account like most Vivobarefoot models can. Now, with the AVANCUS Apex Power, my first impression with this shoe is that it's a blend of models like the Adidas The Total shoe and like a Vivobarefoot model. So in the context of being more like the Total, it has a little bit more support around the boot. So as you can see, we have a little bit more foam around the boot here for additional support. And we have like a similar like low profile silhouette through the forefoot and midfoot. That is where it's like the Total. Where it's like Vivobarefoot models is their overall flexibility and minimalism. So if you take the insole out of the shoe, it is very minimalist in nature. The stack height is pretty dang minimal as well, so it's gonna give you a lot more ground feel than the Total, which does have a slightly thicker stack height and overall sole construction. So I think if you like the Total, for example, and you thought they were a little bit too thick for your needs and you wish they were a little bit more minimalist, I could see you actually really liking the Apex Power. My second first impression with this, and this is actually my favorite part of the shoe thus far, is the sole construction. So with this model's sole, you get a ton of grip. This rubber gripped the floor really well, and I purposely went on turf, rubber gym floors, and also carpet in the gym I trained at here in Boston. That's also why I'm in a different backdrop today. I'm in Boston, not my normal studio, but at the gym I was at, I essentially went to every single surface and like tried to like flex my foot into it to see how the grip was, and this rubber gripped the floor really well. To be quite honest, out of all the minimalist shoes I've tried recently, this is probably the grippiest sole to date I have tried, at least in the last like 6 to 10 models for training. So I really like the sole construction, and something that I appreciated with this sole is that it wraps on the medial and lateral sides. So I think that will be useful for folks who pull sumo and they're putting a lot of flex into the lateral part of the shoe, because with certain minimalist shoes, especially from like Vivobarefoot and models that basically don't have thicker sidewalls, you can have some spillover. I think this will be a nice play to give you a little bit of a lockdown feeling in the shoe, especially when flexing out laterally into the model. You also have a synthetic overlay for additional support as well. And I was doing some landmine single leg squats, or split squats for that matter, to kind of test this to see how the security was, and it did a pretty dang good job overall. My third first impression with this shoe is that with the low profile upper construction, it did feel a little bit snug at first when I put them on, but after even just one training session, the uppers seemed to stretch out a little bit, so I don't know if that's gonna be a huge hindering issue for some folks. Now, if you have high volume feet or very thick feet, you might wanna consider that, but I think this shoe should fit true to size for most folks. And even though it's a little bit more low profile through the upper up here, I do think this will stretch out a little bit. And with this lateral sidewall, even though it's gonna stretch, I think, a tiny bit with this upper construction, I don't think you're gonna spill over, but however, time will tell, and we need more data points to really call conclusions on that. My fourth first impression with this shoe is that I think for training, the shoe is gonna be sick, but I'm not gonna probably wear these for daily wear. This is a shoe that I kind of want to protect the sole on because it is so grippy. Like, I don't want to break it down walking out and about on a daily wear context. So I think if you're thinking about the Apex Power, you might want to take a similar approach and just save them for training to get more out of the sole construction. Now, I obviously don't know how long the sole is going to last. I need to test them more, but with its overall grippiness, like, I just really want to preserve that for training only, so I don't have any hindrance there when it comes to giving me a nice bite on whatever surface I'm training on. My final fifth first impression is that I like that the removable insole is a little bit of a thicker foam here. Now, when I say thick, that is obviously relative to being minimalist, so it is pretty dang minimalist at that. But with the internal construction here, if you want to get as close to the ground as possible, this should be an easy shoe to take out that insole, and that could also solve that issue if you do have thicker or high volume feet with the overall low profile feel of the toe box and the midfoot. So I like that about the shoe because it gives it a little bit more variance when it comes to the feel you're going to get with the model, and it doesn't take away from the sole's flexibility, which is pretty dang flexible despite having a little bit more beef back here in the boot. Now, with my review of this shoe, that's going to come in the next few weeks. I need more training sessions in them, but based on my first deadlift slash posterior focus day, they have performed exceptionally well. And I think the main call out for this first impressions video is that if you like Vivobarefoot models and wish you had a little bit more structure with them, and if you like the Total and wish it was a little bit more minimalist, then I could see the Apex Power really fitting that void for you exceptionally well. Now, if you have additional questions on this model in the meantime, hit me in the comments below and I'll try to answer whatever you have. But until next time, guys, I will be building out my review for these very, very soon, so stay tuned for that. Also, for my subscribers, this is obviously not my normal backdrop. I'm in Boston traveling for my best friend's surprise birthday party. That's happening tomorrow, so brought the shoes with me. I'm still working and filming on the road. Shot with Reebok yesterday, so expect some really fun videos coming very soon. And as always, drop a like on the video, drop subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.